rappers and music producers, this was a very active week. Well, I feel like I always say that every single week I jump here on the podcast, and I don't know, it just becomes muscle memory to say it's been an active week. Although it has been a very active week on a personal level, it's been a very active week as a father, as I'm starting to round up to my first month. And I'll be doing a video to kind of break down how I've been able to balance my work as well as my responsibilities as a parent. It is not easy. I have the utmost respect for those of you out there who have been juggling this for years or have multiple kids, and Lord, it's a lot. It was busy on the personal front, of course, and then on a professional front, you saw within the channel that there was a video that I did where I basically encouraged music producers or discouraged music producers from pirating their copy of FL Studio. I have had a bootleg copy since the beginning. And this is something that I'd never walked around parading on the internet like, yeah, I ain't paid for none of that. I'm owed this. You need to give me this because I'm giving y'all free exposure. I was never one of them type of dudes, even though I have had quite a few run-ins with a few of those dudes this week. In the beginning, it was really about, let me get my hands on this program so that I can at least have access and start to develop my craft, start to develop my skill. And along the way, I've had opportunities to get placements. I've had the opportunities to sell beats eventually. You know, years and years later, I would sell my first beat through that program and whatnot. But I always had in the back of my mind, what if the fact that I own a pirated version, what if this is affecting my success in some shape or form? Now, when that thought first came to me, obviously it comes from my own morals and knowing better. I don't steal things, you know, at least that's not how I was brought up, to steal things, even though in this situation I'd be looked at as a thief when it comes to FL Studio. I never would go out and blatantly, you know, brag about stealing things and doing things of that sort. I always told myself, yeah, I'm gonna buy it when I get the money to do it, and I've had the money a million times over and never have. It just becomes a very comfortable habit to where it's like, well, it's already on there, and do I really want to put down $299 right now? And throughout those years, I always had it in the back of my mind, like, man, what if the reason why I'm not getting paid for placements, aside from the obvious in terms of just doing bad business, what if this is my karma for not paying for this product? And you're talking about a product where they don't owe me a thing. There's a lot of producers out there who feel the opposite. They feel like this program is owed to them. They feel like because they chose to have a career in music and because they're currently broke, they're owed this program. And I don't know how this mindset came to be. I don't know if this is sort of the culture of those that pirate softwares, but it's somehow, some way I adopted that at some point in my own justifications inside my head. And so years and years would pass and I would continue to use this product. This product would continue to change my life, and I still did not feel an urgency to go buy it. And there was times that I felt like really, really guilty about that. There was times that I felt like, what kind of entitlement do I have to think that I can just have this because I can have this? We have these contradictions and we're walking hypocrites as music producers. And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna own this one because somebody tried to call me out on my video and saying, you're not owning your mistakes, bro. And I'm like, shut your ass up. What I own ain't none of your damn business. But I was being a hypocrite. But I speak for we because we are a community. And I feel like when I speak about certain things, it applies to a lot of people. And it helps me, you know, talk through this, because this is not a very easy thing to admit that after all this success, after all the things that you've been accomplishing as Curtis King, that you still have not invested in the very program that jump-started this very career that you're on. It's like, well, how much of an asshole do you have to be? So Image Line hit me up about a year ago and they said, Dwan, they didn't call me by Curtis King. They knew me as my government name, which I don't know how they had access to that. Somebody thinks it was my Wikipedia page, that's fine, but they had that. And they had my email, which I don't know where it was associated with it. I never registered with Image Line for anything. But they had my email and they emailed me and they said, these 4 videos that you have on your website or your YouTube, we took the liberty of taking those down because it's copyright infringement due to the fact that you're using a program that you did not pay for, and we have proof. Because of that, YouTube, of course, abided by their wishes, and because of that, I got 2 strikes on my YouTube page. Those 2 strikes actually disabled my ability to go live on YouTube. It actually disabled many more features that I had. Almost would have disabled my monetization had I not been a part of a partner program. I had to deal with that for about a year. There was nothing I could do. I tried to hit up YouTube. My partner tried to hit up YouTube, and they actually got it reversed at some point, but I still had to wait it out because I made the decision to use that program even though I didn't pay for it, even though it wasn't mine. I don't know if producers are not used to people talking candidly as me or as honestly as me and are not used to people kind of just giving you the real even when it doesn't make them look the best. That's just who I am. That's who I'm going to be. That has been the reason why I've been so successful in the YouTube space, why I'm going to be so successful in the podcast space, is because I give you the honesty. I don't care what you think of me. I'm giving you this honesty in hopes that it can help you out in whatever you're going through. So fast forward to last week, which is, we're in April 2018, depending on when you're listening to this, but fast forward last week, Image Line hit me up again. Why, you may ask? They hit me up again because, once again, I stubbornly still did not purchase a copy of FL Studio. Even after all this time that passed, I still didn't purchase my copy of FL Studio. Why? I have no excuse why. I was just being stubborn. I was really being a dickhead. And it wasn't like I was going around, boasting about it. I wasn't being cocky about it. I guess I just didn't care. The older I get and the deeper I get in my responsibility as a father, what I start realizing is the hypocrisy in this way of thinking. Now, when FL Studio hit me up again this last week, what they spoke about was that they said, hey, we see that you're doing tutorials again. That's great. However, we're looking and we don't see your email or your name anywhere within our database. There's no record of you having a copy of that. So can you please present to us your proof of purchase and how you have that? Now, the way that I've had FL Studio 12 is that I actually had a friend that bought a legal version, provided me a download link. Due to that, I felt like, well, okay, maybe it's not all the way right, but it's not all the way wrong. And so I kind of straddled the fence on it, and I justified, and to the point where I just stopped caring. The way karma works, karma is not bias versus gender, it's not bias versus race, it ain't bias versus anything. And my karma came, and they said, look, not only have you not presented us proof that this is your copy, you're doing tutorials on YouTube again, and on top of that, you have an FL Studio beginners course that not only shows you trying to give tutorials of how to use this pirated copy of FL Studio, not only does it show that, but on top of that, you're using our logo, although altered, you're using our logo in order to further sell this product. So from their perspective, in which I can see, and at first, I gotta be honest with you, when I first got it, I was a bit pissed off. I started feeling that same entitlement that I think is boiling a lot of these producers who were on, that particular video that I did last week. They're boiling, they're angry, they're, pissed off. They feel like they're owed something. I think even somebody even alluded to, he said these Caucasians, steal the land, and now they want to charge us for software keys. And I got to keep in mind that it's a lot of people on the internet that are just touched. I won't say crazy, I just say they're touched. I had to hit up, and he was like, this is the reason why I'm going to Outboard Gear. And I'm like, hold on. So you're going to compare colonizers, okay, because I'm assuming you're talking about when, they stole the Native Americans' land. You're going to compare colonizers to music producers, software developers? And then on top of that, sing the praises of Outboard Gear as if those same people that you think are colonizers don't own Guitar Center. A lot of logic was not making sense, and the more I started to see their belligerent ignorance, their bootleggers manifestos, because they were writing me like long letters of anger about why would I come out and say this? Why is Image Line doing this to you? This is disrespectful. No, it's not. Like, what are you talking about? That's their program. I even had to give somebody else a scenario in which they said for all the free exposure that you're giving FL Studio by doing tutorials on your YouTube, by getting producers to go use it, by doing this and doing that, you should be given a free copy of FL Studio. I never thought that in my life. I thought it was the stupidest thing in the world. They owe me after I stole from them? I don't understand that type of entitlement. To me, I told it was the equivalent of, imagine if somebody walked up to you, took your hat off your head, stole it from you, and then you went on Instagram, happened to find this person wearing your hat, saw they had 50,000 followers, and they was like pointing at the hat and saying, hey, this hat is lit, you need to go get this. And then they go buy the hat. You catch up with them and say, hey man, are you going to give me back my hat or pay me for that hat that you stole? And then they turn around and look at you in the most cockiest of manners and say, what you mean pay you or give you the hat back? You see how poppin' I got this hat? Everybody's up here buying it. If matter of fact, you should give me a free hat. If that don't sound like Roscoe the Taco one-on-one to you, I don't know your logic and I don't understand. People who talk like that are scared. People who talk like that are afraid that if they buy this particular software, that they won't make the money back, that it will be a waste of their money, in their opinion. What was I afraid of? I have to think back to it. I think that I was afraid of making that big of an investment on something that I already owned, shelving out that amount of money at that point in time, because, you know, I had other things that I had to tend to. And what was that taken away from? And I've been using it up until now. What's the problem? And it's just justification. And once again, I'm spreading this bootlegger's manifesto.
One of those programs that I was actually using without permission in a very nice way told me that you need to get it together, and I agreed. So over the last few weeks, I've basically been deleting every drum
to get to those points. But the thing that separates the two is that although this 7-footer may have a natural skill or skill set